we're going to do staining and glazing of ceramic restorations. We have a PFM molar, we have a PFM central, and we have our Avanti pressable ceramic restoration. Glazing and staining is done by a ceramist. Usually it's the top ceramist in the department that does it. You have to develop a real eye for color. And not just the theory of it, but it's the actual working of color. A lot of things are going to distort your perception. If I pull open this orange drawer, the orange will throw off my eye, the black will throw off my eye, the green will throw off my eye. So try to set up a white piece of paper as a background so you're only looking at a neutral background. So now, the way this all works is we have a staining and glazing kit. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take glazing liquid. This is only liquid, there's no glaze in it. And I have powder. It's called glazing material. All this is powdered glass. I'm going to mix the two together on my slab. Ladies, Nadia, please. I'm going to mix these two together onto my mixing slab. I'm going to apply it lightly on the surface of the crown. I'm going to compare it to my shade guide. If it matches perfectly, I go right in the oven. I put it on the glazing program, which is it A3, A4? We'll check the chart on the wall, okay? You don't have to add colors. The more color I add, the more translucency I will lose, right? Because I'm going to start dumping all these colors on top. Even if I get to the right color, there's no translucency. So you have to be very careful. And these colors are very intense. You're adding almost nothing. So if I'm adding blue, I shouldn't see a blue tooth, right? I don't want to look like a Smurf. All right, it's a blue. I don't want a pink tooth. I don't want a brown tooth. I don't want a black or, I want it to match the color of the patient's adjacent teeth. So now, we know that we're shade A2. All right, so I pulled out an A2 shade guide. Let's start off. You're going to use your hemostat to attach it to the button or the margin on the lingual side. But can I take a hemostat and grab the pressable? No, I don't think so. If I do, I'll only do it once as I shatter it. So I have this instrument, really cool. When you turn the wheel, it'll open up. Instead of a hemostat locking, it opens and closes, so I can go inside the pressable, open it up, and now I can pick up the pressable with this instrument. I only have one. This instrument I think sells for about 65 bucks. So I have one. I'll lend it to you when you're doing the pressable, but you got to give it back to me when we start. All right, so now first thing I want to do, I'm going to take a little bit of medium. I'm going to take a little bit of glaze, very little bit. Oh, everything has to be spotless here. Everything. The tray has to be clean, your bench, wash your hands. Make sure your restorations are clean and dry, that you don't have alcohol all over it. Take your time and mix it up. You have to break up the particles with the medium. It takes a few seconds for the powder and liquid to merge. Keep mixing it until you have a nice creamy mix. Make sure there are no chunky particles in there. I've taken a guess at what colors I might need. If you look at the bottles, they're all color-coded. For example, blue is TC5. If I look over at the chart over here, see it? TC5 is blue. D5 is orange. TC1 is pink-violet. Right? So it's written right on the chart. Don't just look at the bottle and assume you know what the color is. So if I need blue, and I know it's TC5, take the bottle of TC5, put it into the well, TC5, mix it in, and I'm ready to go. Put the bottle back where it belongs. When I opened these kits 2 days ago, all the bottles were mixed up. Everything was a mess. Jennifer was nice enough to clean up this mess. So let's keep it in order for the next person. Put the bottle back where it goes. Put it into the correct well, because you don't have to clean this out. When you're done with this, you pick it up and you hand it to the next person. There's no reason to take away the colors. All right, so now let's start. Take a small brush, usually a number 2 brush or something small. Dab it into your glaze, right? Oh, make sure you do mix the two. Don't just use the liquid. All this is liquid. There's no glaze in this. It's only liquid. So make sure you take the powder and the liquid, put them together, mix it together, make sure you don't have any dry particles, and very, very gently apply very, very little over the ceramics only. You're not putting it on the metal. Everybody heard that? So when you're doing your PFM, do not slop any glaze on the metal. So now, once I've gone over the surface, take my shade guide, make sure you have a white light, right? You don't want an incandescent bulb because it's going to give you the wrong color. Have a white light, hold it together. Now, can anybody who's standing behind me, Look at the incisal third. That's pretty close, right? You look at the middle third, not too bad. You look at the cervical third, what do you see?
It's darker.
Yeah, right. Ours is too light. It has a bit of a grayish color. You notice on their cervical third, it's kind of an orangish yellow. It may even be a little bit of brown mixed in, right? So now if I looked at that, I'm like, okay, now I need a little color. My incisal edge, not bad. Okay, so now in theory, they should be talking about what you use these various colors for. TC5, the blue, creates an illusion of translucency. I can take a little bit of blue and just add a speck on the incisal edge, and when you look at it, it actually gives it a glassy, let me take away some of this, it actually gives it a glassy look, almost like transparent. So I'm only doing one part. If you look very carefully and you look where I just added that, you don't see blue. But what you see is it kind of looks like translucent, like you're looking into it. Okay? I'll show you what's something that is very bad. Don't go like that. You don't want to see a blue tooth. Okay? Oh, if you see something you don't like, take a dry tissue, no water. Take a dry tissue, wipe it away, and you're right back where you started from. Okay? So now let's keep going. Oh, and if you have to clean off your brush, take one little drop of liquid and clean off your brush. You can't go back and forth. You don't want to wind up mixing brown with blue with orange. You're just going to have a big mess. Okay, so now let me go back to my glaze. I'm adding a little glaze over the surface. I noticed I needed a little more translucency, so I can take a little bit of translucency on the incisal edge. And because the porcelain is translucent, you can see into the porcelain, I can turn this around and go to the lingual side, add a small amount. Look at the incisal edge. Do you see how it has that glassy, clear look? I just created that. It wasn't there a couple seconds ago. I just created it. Okay? So I have now a glassy, translucent look on the incisal edge. Again, clean off my brush. Let's get rid of the blue. You just told me that there was an orangish brown. I need something down in the cervical third. Look over at the chart. Orange brown, orange yellow. So we're looking at DC3, DC4, D5. Okay? So go ahead and try. Take a little bit of the color, add slightly in the cervical area. Make sure we don't lose the crown here. Add in the cervical area. But remember I said I need a little brown? I can take a little bit of this color and put it right here on my palette. I can take a little bit of the really intense brown. I can put it here. I can now mix the two together, and I'm changing, right? Because maybe that's a little too light and maybe that's a little too dark. So I've taken just a speck, and I can come down to the cervical area, add a little bit. If I think I need an orangish brown, I can even create, you see a lot of people with stains. You see what I just added? It looks like the person has stains. So if this guy is, 70, 80 years old, smoking cigars, drinking a lot of wine, he has all kinds of stains on his teeth. You don't want pearly white teeth. So I can go in and I can create any illusion I want. I can take my sharp instrument. If I want to do a crack, I can dip it in the brown and real fast, just like that. If you know when Zorro does the Z on the wall, real fast. Take the instrument, real fast, one line, I just put a crack on the tooth. You see it? And when you look at it, it looks like the guy has a crack in his tooth. That crack is on the surface. This is called surface staining. It's on the top. But when a crack is in a tooth, isn't a crack all the way through the tooth? So what I could do is I could take a separating disc. I could cut a channel right in the tooth, right, with a separating disc. I could take the brown and put it down inside the crack. I could then put clear porcelain on top of it and bake it. So when you look at the final tooth, you're actually looking inside the guy's tooth, like a window, right? So that's called internal staining. Very expensive. You charge a doctor much more for that. Most crowns are done this way, external. Okay? If I see something else I want a little more translucency. If the doctor says he wants more translucency on the megio-incisal corner, you can take a little bit and add a little more here. We're going to play with it. We can do whatever we want. We can come around to the fossa. If we want to emphasize something, or we want to emphasize the cingulum, look, I took a little bit of brown, added it right into her carvings, and look at how deep her carvings just got. But again, you don't want to see tons of color. Slowly lift it away. You see what you see now? Okay, so now look at how detailed her anatomy looked. Where a couple seconds ago you couldn't see the carving she did. Now you can see it. I mean, all of you can see it back there. You can see all of her detail. You can see her cingulum, her marginal ridges, just by me adding. All right, so take your time. If you don't like it, take a tissue, wipe it all off, a dry tissue. You're right back to where you started from. Do not let it drip inside. Okay? Now, you're doing these one at a time. Once you have it done, walk over to the furnace. Open the furnace. So if this is your muffle, right, you're looking inside the furnace, take the crown on the hemostat and hold it right in there where you can feel the heat. You're going to start to see it smoking. It's a white smoke. There's nothing going wrong. What you're doing is you're evaporating this liquid. Once you evaporate it, you're going to look at your crown and it's going to look like snow, like a white powder. So what you've done is you've evaporated the liquid. The glaze is all sitting there ready to be baked. You're going to take the crown, you're going to put it on the peg. You're going to sit down and do the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. You're going to put them on the tray one at a time, right? You're going to have all 5 or 6 of them, including the pressable. You're going to put them all in the oven together, and you're going to bake them. Right? And they're all going to come out, and then that's essentially the last step. The only other step after that, next class, I'll show you how to grind over the metal and how to polish the metal. That's not going to take us 15 minutes to polish the metal and do it correctly. But the glazing and staining, you may spend, 2 hours doing this. All right, so just to repeat, glazing powder, glazing liquid gets mixed right on the tray. If I need to mix 2 different colors together, if I want a little orange, take a dot of orange. You want a little brown, take a dot of brown, put them here, mix them together. Do not go back and forth or you're going to contaminate the wells. When you're all done and you are finished and you're going in the oven and you don't need this tray anymore, take a dry tissue, wipe the palette clean the way you found it, wipe it clean, and hand it to the next person. All right? Don't clean this out. Don't run water on it. Give it to the next person. Make sure you start with a clean white surface. Make sure you have your shade guide. I'm going to be grading you that you attempted this. If your shade is off, I am not taking away credit. Right? You've never done this before. I want to see that you've attempted, you've taken some colors, you tried it. By next semester, part of the grade in 3rd semester will be matching this shade guide exactly. Remember, if we have a light tooth, we can always make it darker with colors. But if you have too much dentin and you have not enough incisal, I can't go the other way. The only thing I would do is shock it off, or I grind back most of the porcelain and I put on and I start again. Right? I can't go the other way. But remember, too many colors take away my translucency. All right, so very, very gentle with the color. Less is better. Bake it in the oven. If it comes out and you need a little more, not a problem. Paint on some more, back in the oven again. It'll take you 10 minutes. All right, it's a fast process. Oh, nobody grinding near you, because all the grinding of the metal and whatnot will be right into this, and you'll have speckles. It'll look like little pieces of pepper all over. So make sure everything's very clean. Your hand, your bench. Get a clean white piece of paper. Clean your instruments, and we are done for now.
Good.